A scream tears through the silence of the night. The bush shakes with hurried footsteps, shadows moving where no one should be. Somewhere in the chaos, a young orphan stumbles onto danger far greater than his small world has ever known. A heavily pregnant woman hides among the trees, hunted by ruthless men who will stop at nothing to find her. He could run, pretend he never saw her, but one choice binds their lives together in ways neither of them can yet imagine. Because not every stranger is what they seem, and not every act of courage ends where it begins. One encounter, one secret, and a revelation that will leave you questioning everything. Welcome to the Judge Stories. If you love gripping tales with shocking twists, you're in the right place. Please subscribe to help us grow and tell us in the comments which country you're watching from. The sun rose soft and golden over the dusty road as Chioma Ola leaned back in the seat of her convoy SUV. At 26, with her belly round beneath a flowing yellow maternity gown, she carried both the weight of new life and the weight of her mission. As founder of Hands of Grace Foundation, she was determined to reach the widows and displaced women waiting at the outreach center that morning. "Madam, we should have reached by 9, her security aide said from the front. "They wait with hope," Chioma replied. "We cannot fail them." The countryside swept wide, small farms, scattered huts, tall elephant grass bending in the dry wind. Barefoot children waved from the verge. The baby rolled beneath her palm. "We'll do this together, little one," she whispered. The crack came sharp and wrong. The driver jerked the wheel, tires screamed. Men burst from the bush on both sides, scarves over faces, rifles raised. "Stop the motor, stop!" The first SUV fishtailed to a halt. Guards scrambled. Bullets shredded the air. Birds erupted from trees. "Down, madam," a guard shouted, pushing Chioma low. But while the bandits yanked drivers from doors and barked orders, her door drifted ajar. Chioma slid across the seat, eased it wider, and pressed herself flat to the grass. Heat flared through her gown. Thorns scratched her shins. She crawled, breath ragged, pain jabbing her belly like knives. Voices roared behind. "Find her, the pregnant one. She no go far." She tore off her sandals when they snagged. The scarf slipped away somewhere in the grass. Dust bit her tongue as she ran, shoulders brushing the green walls of elephant stalks. The baby shifted heavy and urgent. She did not stop. Only when the shouts thinned did she fold beneath a tree, chest heaving, gown streaked with soil. Alone, with fury, hunting her from behind, she closed her eyes and whispered, "God, keep me, please. Keep us both." The bush breathed danger. Crickets rasped. A twig cracked. Birds scattered. Far off. "Spread out. Search well. She day here." Her chest tightened. Chioma pulled deeper into the undergrowth, branches scratching her arms, the ground biting her bare feet. Sweat slid down her temples, the ache in her belly sharpened. She pressed a palm to the swell. "Stay strong, my child. Mama will not let them take us." The metallic click of a rifle drifted on the wind. She bit back a sob. Not far away, Emmanuel Tunde walked the narrow path with a woven basket of yams on his hip. His shirt clung with sweat. His shorts were dusted the color of the earth. At 18, he had learned to move quietly, to watch the edges of things. Since his parents died 10 years earlier, silence and struggle had taught him what the bush could not. He paused. A sound. Soft. Human. Desperate. He put the basket down. "Hello?" He breathed. Only the rush of leaves answered. He knelt, parted the grass. A woman crouched against a tree, gown torn, scarf gone, face streaked with dust and tears, one hand shielding a swollen belly. Her eyes were the eyes of something hunted. "Please," she whispered, voice scraped thin by fear. Emmanuel's breath snagged. Voices were closer now. Helping meant danger, leaving meant capture. He lifted a finger to his lips. "Quiet, follow me." She hesitated, trembling. "If I slow you, then I carry you," he said, and the steadiness in his eyes made trust easy. She rose shakily. He took her arm and guided her onto a hidden track only feet that belonged here could find. "Search well. Should they hear?" the bandits shouted behind them. For the first time since the ambush, hope tugged a thin thread through Chioma's fear. "What is your name?" she whispered. Emmanuel, he said, not turning. It means God with us. Today we will believe it. The path twisted through grass and thorn as narrow as a secret. Emmanuel moved fast but careful, steadying Kioma when roots bit her feet. Breathe with your steps, he murmured, short, soft. At last the trees loosened their grip. A mud hut perched at the clearing's edge, its zinc roof patched with rust. Smoke smudged the doorway. A clay pot cooled by the entrance. Here, Emmanuel said, you'll be safe inside. He shouldered the door. It squealed. Earth and wood smoke greeted her. A mat lay neatly in the corner. An old cupboard with chipped paint leaned against the wall. A single kerosene lamp sat on a stool, glass clouded. He helped her lower to the mat. Her belly rose and fell like a small tide. You need water. He dipped a calabash. The pot water kissed her cracked throat. Tears shone. She forced a smile. God bless you. He looked away, awkward. From his basket, he drew yams, peeled, and set them on the charcoal stove. Fire chattered softly. While they roasted, Kioma watched him. Frayed sleeves, good hands, the solemn eyes of a boy who had been older than his years for too long. When the yams were ready, he set a share before her. Eat small first. It has been 2 days, she admitted, breaking a piece with shaking fingers. Tonight you rest, he said. Tomorrow we plan. He sat at the threshold listening. Night insects stitched their song. Somewhere distant, drums lifted the dark. Under it all, men hunting. Kioma tucked herself around her child and closed her eyes. Emmanuel kept his open, a silent promise in his chest. Nothing would cross this doorway that meant her harm. Crickets scraped the night. Dogs barked and fell silent. Emmanuel sat in the doorway with a stick of firewood in his hand and the lamp snuffed. Kioma stirred on the mat. A sharp kick drew a wind. Are you all right? He whispered. The child is strong, she said, but I fear. Fear is a visitor, he answered. We won't let it stay. Boots chewed dry leaves. Voices. Check that side. The woman no fit pass far. A torchline licked the hut's cracked wall, cutting a white blade across Kioma's gown. She held her breath. Emmanuel crouched, fists tight. 2 shadows paused at the threshold. Check inside, one muttered. Na poor boy hut, the other snorted. Who go hide here? A whistle cut from deeper bush. Move, that side. Footsteps peeled away. Kioma's breath trembled out. Emmanuel waited longer than comfort allowed, then he slid outside barefoot. He snapped branches and dragged them to print false passage, smeared earth with his heels to make the ground lie. He threaded confusion through the scrub, a decoyed path that ran hard in the wrong direction. When he returned slick with sweat, she stared in amazement. You are just a boy. How do you know these things? The bush taught me, he said, settling again at the door. Hunger taught me. When you have no one, you learn to survive. Kioma swallowed. Then tonight we both survive. She pointed to a low stand of shrubs behind the hut. If they return, we can slip that way and circle to the stream. Noise goes with water. He nodded, impressed. You see well? Fear is a visitor, she repeated softly. We will not let it stay. Morning bled thin orange across the sky. Emmanuel had not slept. He listened to the forest breathe and counted the breaks. A branch crack, a far shout, a whistle. They are still searching, he told Kioma when she sat up. Until they stop, I cannot rest. Another whistle. Hurried voices. Emmanuel stepped into the clearing. Figures moved through the trees, disciplined, boots in unison, rifles flashing, not bandits. Soldiers. Stay here, don't move, he whispered, darting back. Gunfire cracked somewhere beyond. Orders snapped the air taut. Kioma gripped her hands together and prayed, lips trembling. Emmanuel crouched at the door with a broken hoe, braced like a spear. If anything slipped the cordon and reached for his hut, it would find him first. The chaos thins, replaced by command. Clear the area. Move forward. Soldiers emerged at the clearing's edge, uniforms dusty, rifles high. Emmanuel rose slowly, lifting his free hand. Don't shoot. One soldier lowered his weapon at the sight of the thin, barefoot boy with the serious eyes. But what are you doing here? There is a woman, Emmanuel said, pointing. She escaped them. She is pregnant. Help her. They swept the hut and led Chioma out. Her gown clung damp and dusty. Relief lit her face. You saved me, she whispered. It was nothing, he muttered, flushing. Nothing, the commander said, studying Emmanuel's frame. You did well. Into his radio he added, 2 captured, the rest scattered east. Secure the convoy's remains. As Chioma climbed into a vehicle, she looked back one more time. I will not forget you. Engines grumbled. Dust rose. Emmanuel stood alone in the clearing, the sun warming his shoulders like a hand placed there with care. For the first time in years, hope did not feel like a stranger. 2 days later, Emmanuel heard an engine where engines seldom came. News had spread. Bandits and heirs escaping a rescue, but no one had spoken the name of the boy in a hut. He sat outside, patching his basket, when a black SUV rolled into the clearing and settled the dust. A man in a crisp suit stepped out. Are you Emmanuel Tunde? Emmanuel rose, palms rough against the basket's rim. Yes, sir. You will come with us. Chief David Ola wants to see you. His stomach knotted. He wiped his hands on faded shorts and climbed in. Villages unspooled into fields, fields into highways chiseled with glass towers. When the SUV slowed, Emmanuel's forehead nearly touched the window. Golden gates, guards saluting, fountains in the sun, a mansion shimmering with glass and marble steps. He stepped onto a carpeted driveway in slippers that flapped against his heels and an oversized shirt borrowed from a neighbor. Shame flushed hot, but not enough to turn him back. Inside, chandeliers scattered light like broken stars. Emmanuel kept his elbows close, afraid to touch the air. A steward led him to a sitting room where a broad-shouldered man in a white, gold-embroidered senator attire rose from his seat. So, David Ola said slowly, this is the boy who saved my daughter. I only did what anyone would do, sir, Emmanuel murmured. In the doorway, Chioma appeared in a burgundy gown, careful steps, bright eyes. Papa, this is him, Emmanuel. David's gaze lingered on the boy's face as if memory were buried there. Emmanuel, Tunde, you said? The name hung heavy as a bell before it rings. Silence gathered. Emmanuel stared at the floor, unsure if coming here had been a mistake. Tunde, David said at last. Who were your parents? My father was Mr. Tunde, my mother Mrs. Folake. They both worked for Prime Oil. A swallow. They died 10 years ago in the tanker accident. Air left the room. David eased into his chair and covered his mouth with his hand. Tunde. Folake. No wonder your face felt familiar. Chioma's hand settled on his shoulder. They were not just employees, David said, voice roughening. Your father managed one of my depots with a kind of honesty that makes enemies. Your mother kept the young one steady. When they died, he broke off, guilt creasing his brow. Everything became confusion. I searched for their boy. I failed. Emmanuel's eyes burned. They always spoke well of you. My father said you were the best Ogier a man could serve. After they died, I had no one. I learned to farm. I learned to keep quiet. But I never forgot his words. David stood. Grief turned to decision. He placed both hands on Emmanuel's shoulders. You are their son. From today you are mine as well. Forgive me for the years I did not find you. I will not fail you again. Chioma smiled through tears. I told you, Emmanuel, you would not be forgotten. For the first time in years, the word belonging did not feel like a story other people told. David's voice steadied. Whatever path you dream, school, work, a future, it is yours. He glanced at Chioma. Call BC and scholarships, and HR opened the old Tunde file. We honor debts we didn't pay. Chioma nodded, already reaching for her phone. Emmanuel tried to speak and couldn't. Sir, I am just a farmer. I live in a hut. David shook his head. You are Tunde's son. That name carries weight. You carry it well. He turned to the steward. Have the guest wing prepared, clothes in his size. A doctor should see him. To Emmanuel, he added, softer. Rest first. Tomorrow we begin. The orders did not feel like charity. They felt like doors being unlocked. Later, Chioma found Emmanuel in the corridor, lost among framed photos and polished floors. "Walk with me," she said. They stopped before a portrait of prime oil workers at a company event. Men in coveralls, women in bright gel. A couple in the center smiled with uncomplicated pride. "My parents," Emmanuel whispered. "And my father's right hand," Chioma said. "I grew up hearing his name." She turned to him. "You saved me before any recognition. That is who you are. Let the rest come." He nodded. In his chest, something heavy shifted and made room for light. The dining hall glittered with chandeliers raining gold across marble. Emmanuel sat stiffly at one end of the long table, oversized shirt swallowing his thin frame. Staff moved with quiet grace, placing bowls that steamed in little clouds. David entered in navy agbada, threaded with silver. Conversation fell away. "Listen," he said, voice carrying easily. "This young man is not a stranger. He is Emmanuel Tunde, son of the late Tunde and Folai, faithful hands of prime oil. He is also the one who saved my daughter and my unborn grandchild." He let the words settle. "From this day, he is under my care. He will return to school. He will finish his education, and he will never again be called poor or forgotten. Let it be known, he carries my name with honor." A ripple moved through the staff. "Welcome, sir," one murmured. Then another, then many. Heat climbed Emmanuel's face. For years he had been the boy people looked past. Now faces turned toward him with respect he did not know where to put. Chioma, in a soft blue Ankara gown, slid into the seat beside him and brushed his hand. "You see," she whispered, "you are where you belong." When Emmanuel tried to thank David, the man lifted a palm. "Say nothing yet. Live, learn, make your parents proud. That is enough for today." Laughter rose gently as dishes traveled the table. Emmanuel tasted food and something sweeter, dignity returning to a body that had forgotten its shape. The hall was alive with color. Rows of chairs filled with dignitaries, journalists, and village women, draped in bright Ankara. Cameras flashed under banners of Hands of Grace Foundation. Heavy with pregnancy, yet radiant, Chioma stood at the podium in an emerald gown. "Today," she said, voice warm and sure, "we lend help to widows and displaced families and honor the lesson God placed in my life. Sometimes salvation comes from the humblest hands." Murmurs rippled. She turned toward the front row. Emmanuel rose when his name was called, crisp white shirt, tucked into dark trousers, hair neatly trimmed, posture shy but steady. The boy from the bush stood where the world could see him. "This is Emmanuel Tunde," Chioma said, smiling. "When danger came, when armed men hunted me, he risked everything to hide me, to feed me, to keep my child and me alive. Only later did I learn he is the son of Tunde and Foleg, faithful workers of prime oil, taken too soon." Applause thundered. David, in richly woven agbada, touched the corner of his eye with a handkerchief, years of regret easing into something like redemption. An usher offered Emmanuel a microphone. At first, words wouldn't come. Then they did, quiet but clear. "I never thought I would stand here. I am a farmer's son, an orphan, but God does not forget. What I lost, he has restored. What I feared, he has turned to hope." He bowed his head. "I thank Chief David Ola for opening his home to me. I thank Chioma for calling me her brother. And I thank my parents for leaving me a name that still carries honor." Silence, bright and brief, like a held breath, then the hall rose to its feet. Under the stage lights, Emmanuel felt the moment take root. He was no longer the boy in tattered shorts, nor the invisible hands of survival. He was a son restored, a rescuer honored, a promise beginning to keep itself. His destiny had begun.